Welcome to Success Talk. This is Dr. Herbert Harris bringing you another edition of Success Talk, the program where we talk to people who have been successful, who have overcome challenges, who've made breakthroughs, and who are now living their dreams. And today we have a good friend, Randall Cates. Hey, my brother, how are you?
Hey, how you making out? All is well, all is well. About yourself?
Well, man, it's just a pleasure. The weather is beautiful. It's going to hit 82 here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, where are you located right now?
Yeah, I'm in South Jersey.
Okay.
Get it at, yeah.
Yeah. So the weather there is pretty good right now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yesterday it was in the 70s. Today it's a little bit colder, but overall for a winter, this has been pretty good winter.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, Randall, I tell you, man, I really want to thank you for being on the program. And, I know that you're an entrepreneur and I've seen you in different businesses from real estate, now your present venture. And I just take my hat off to you because it's so important to see people that look like us doing
Yes,
business.
absolutely, absolutely.
Now, Randy, tell us a little about your background. Where'd you grow up and your
Got you,
family? Yeah. Mhm.
got you. Yup. So grew up here in South Jersey, Cumberland County, city called Vineland to be exact. Small area here in southern New Jersey. Raised with some great parents, mother and father. My dad was, well-known, world-renowned boxer. Fought back in the days in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
My mom was a great mother, hardworking. They've been together since they were 16 years old.
Wow.
Still to this day, right now, through and through. You know, Grew up around, a loving family, period. My family all around, my brothers, did a good job with, just always kind of molding me, shaping me, as a family unit. So, uh, that's where it began, that
Yeah.
format, that
Yeah.
groundwork, you know.
But that's so important, man. And, I take my hat off to your parents because so many people don't have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
it's funny, Randy, if you don't have good role models, and it's not even so much about what people say, but it's really what they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in life's works. A lot of times, especially right now, where we get drowned in the noise with the social medias, and the platform has changed. Everybody has a microphone. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
has a platform to show their inner workings of themselves or how their life is too, right? But very few really are mastering it more with showing what they're doing in the
Mm.
works, versus just
Yeah.
just saying things and just kind of going on with the regular. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's definitely it's definitely refreshing once you see people that are actually putting forth the work and making it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. So now after, like coming out of basically high school,
Mm.
did you go to school? What did you do?
Got
Yeah.
you. Yep. I'll
Uh-huh.
take you through my journey. All
Uh-huh.
right. So, graduated 2003. Local high school there. And after high school, uh, what I did was, my brothers, they started up a business, and we
Mm-hmm.
were going back and forth to New York, back and forth, and we were getting clothes, whatever we get our hands on, different things, and just kind of reselling it at a shop here. We would do that. We
Mm-hmm.
would sell things online, so on and so forth. During that time, also did because in my house, the one thing for sure, two things for certain, in my house, you could not just be not doing anything. Like, my dad, he would work tirelessly, endlessly, wake up early in the morning, go walking, right? Go walking, whether it was like 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever time it was, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and he would drive about an hour and a half, towards, central northern New Jersey, central, whatever the case may be. And by the time he come back, if you were on the couch, that was a problem. So you had to be doing.
Mm.
So I grew up around it. You had to be working, doing different things of that nature. You had to be doing something, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, I chose to go the route, going to school. Even while I was doing schooling, getting my bachelor's,
Uh-huh.
I was always doing entrepreneurial journey, working with either my brothers, and then eventually I started branching off, working by myself at
Mm.
a place called Cowtown, where basically it was an area, on Saturdays where you you would have people coming from DC, Maryland, just up and down the East Coast. People who were taking trips to Atlantic City would stop at this place. It was if you're on the West Coast, they call it a swap meet. East Coast would be flea market. That's where we were at, right?
Yeah.
And I was selling things there. And here I would go. Usually, those areas where you go there, you would have people who were coming from different countries who would be selling, whether it be from different Arabic descents or from Africa, things of that nature, or from China, or basically just going after the American hustle, selling in that place too. Here I am, African American, I'm selling the products there and actually selling at a high value. Selling at a high value and was doing pretty good. I grew a pension. I said I was pretty good at this business thing, right? So eventually branched out with selling and basically was supplying even them in the flea market. All right, in Cowtown. So I was supplying not only people from from DC, from Georgia, all up and down the East Coast, North Carolina, but also supplying the suppliers. I was, I got pretty good at it, and eventually I started taking things online. All right, and did really good. I was, 21, 20 years old, really making a good way for myself. Like I said, in my household, you definitely want, they supported my mom and dad and my brother all supported what I was doing. I was the youngest. You know what I mean? They all just kind of breathe life into me, right? And I always push forward with that, right?
That's it. You got to do it because we did.
Sure, right? So while I was doing that simultaneously, getting my master's, but 2008 happened. 2008 happened, right? And 2008 happened, and you pretty much know that was where they called it the recession. Right?
It
was the closest thing to the depression, right? But it was a recession, right? So business started to slow down. So eventually I started just doing things online and save money. I'm very frugal in my approach. Anybody know in my inner circle or even know me out knows that I'm a guy that I don't have to go with the flash pizzazz to show who I am. This, that, and the third doesn't make me. I make this, that, and the third. Firmly that too. So I'm very frugal in my approach. So I saved that money up that I made, amassed that small fortune from selling selling items and stuff, right? And end up getting my master's, right? And still I started working in the school system, right? School system. But during that time, you talk about the burning desire, that passion in your book. I still had that. All right. I still was hustling, still doing my thing. Even when business started to slow down with that, I still had that. From there, I delved into real estate. All right. I don't want to go too far advanced.
But we were talking about real estate when we started talking a few years ago. You were heavily into real estate. But I guess the beauty is that you're an entrepreneur, and a lot of people can't make that transition, from like what they call it, a real job where you get paid every week or every 2 weeks. When you made that it seemed like it was very natural because you were in an entrepreneurial family and they were supportive. But were there any obstacles that kept you, it sort of slowed you down? When you decided to go into real estate, anytime you were getting ready to make a change, were there any obstacles, and how did you handle them?
Oh, for sure. You'll have doubt. And my circle was pretty small, man. It's a great thing I had that inner circle family that was support around me. But as far as the people that hung around with, everybody kind of went different ways. They didn't really necessarily go the entrepreneurial way. They just went off to the work way, right? So as far as people that my peers and where I come from, that pretty much is blue collar. It's work at a healthcare system or work at the state prison or not necessarily. I see people that look like me, that were doing things at a high level, right? So just having me staying grounded, there's a lot of things that really could, you can go sway, that outside influences that I could have swayed. As a young Black male and in society, right? On top of that, the area where I'm from, right? But just kind of staying grounded, and staying focused on a goal. So I had those different distractions. And then you're going to have self-doubt. You're going to have fear. That's a natural thing that's going to happen, right? But then retraining your mind to not let that get in the way of you. We're all going to come across certain things, or come across fear. It's a natural thing. But then, conquering that, or at least battling it and pushing forward with things too. So a lot of that.
Well, that's, I think what you were just sharing there is one of the key points, that fear, self-doubt, And you know, when you're dealing between fear and self-doubt, that takes a lot of people out. And so they never get out of that, you might say they never get out of the box. Yeah. Now, how were you able to get through that? What was your technique to overcome fear and to overcome self-doubt?
Creating goals and
Mm,
following through with those goals, and then also having a short memory. I don't know what it is. Something about me. It's certain type of. It's hard to put a finger or put definition on it, but something about me where I'm gonna keep pushing.
uh-huh.
I'm gonna keep pushing, and I might be down, but I'm not out.
Mm,
Um, I'm gonna keep pushing, whether it was instilled in me. I always put God first, so
yeah.
that's one of my pillars, right? But I'm always a person that is going to keep on. I get a red hot passion towards something.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm not going to allow things to get in my way. Just having that tunnel vision,
Yeah.
tunnel. That's how I was able to
Yeah.
get a hold of that too. And of
Mm,
course, I had support. I didn't do it all by myself
right,
at
right,
all. Oh, at
right.
all. I got supportive. Like I said, I can't stress enough. I got a very supportive family from my wife. You know, who's very, very supportive. She came in, of course,
Yeah.
later in my life. You know, and that's
Yeah.
somebody that's very supportive of what I do. And the
That's
family.
key. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
support. And you know, to you know, even in selecting a wife and choosing your friends. And
Absolutely.
you know, like say you may not necessarily you can't choose your family. So sometimes you get a family that
Yeah.
may not be
Amen.
supportive. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you have the right people around you. You got to go off energy. You got to have the right energy around you, whether it's family or not,
Mm,
friends or not. You pick and choose the energy that you want. People
yeah.
that are, match your energy wherever I'm at, things
Yeah.
too. And of course, I went through that temptation just like anybody. Um,
Oh,
all them
yeah.
type of temptations, and could have went this way, could have went that way. I got close people, me from all around that,
Yeah.
um, friends that are serving
They
life
do
and
it. Yeah. Yeah.
from decisions
Wait.
I got. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, you know, those distractions, and I think with a young person like yourself, a young business person,
hmm
is distractions can pull you off. And you, I guess, being inner directed, and you said something very powerful, you know, by focusing on your goals. Any other ways you handle distractions to keep you from going with the mob or going with the crowd?
um, other ways I handle distractions, um, reading,
Mm,
meditation, goals, things like that too. One thing, a book that changed my life along 12 universal laws is pretty much, you already know I'm going to say.
uh-huh,
um there was Think and Grow Rich that changed my mindset on things. I read that early
uh-huh.
and understood those principles, and then and I'll come across, hopefully that question comes up, how I came across yours too.
Well, I'm
But
gonna ask that because this is a perfect lead in. You
very
know,
much so, very
yeah,
much
how
so.
did you come across
So
the 12
delving into
universal
that,
laws of
I
success?
believe that 12 universal laws tied that knot. Think Grow Rich opened that up.
Uh-huh,
Those shoelaces and 12 universal laws of success tied that knot. And how I came across that is actually, I was in New York City,
uh-huh.
and me and my brother were making a trip there to get some products, things of that nature that we were going. It's hustle and blessing in the area, and we always pick up different books, whether it was 48 Laws of Power, whether it was all different types of books. I'm going on and on,
Uh-huh.
right? I said, what is the hottest book, the newest book that you're out? Like, the guy knew who I was and knew what type of book I would like. And he was like, this book right here, 12 Universal Laws of Success. And he showed me that book. And so it was a New York City vendor there.
Yeah.
So your book was making rounds and making doing great. And so I picked that book up, and that book, definitely opened my eyes to a lot of different things too. So for me, getting past those distractions, because I am sort of a loner person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those type of people too. Of course, I'm social too, but
Uh-huh.
I'm also a person that stays to themselves, and I do a lot
Okay.
of thinking. I could be with 1,000 people in the room, but I'm still by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still doing a lot of thinking on that. I got my own mind. I just moved to the beat of my own drum. You know, so that's how that goes. But books and just kind of like just a lot of thinking. I spent a lot of times in the day before I start the day, thinking, meditate on things. That helped clear out a lot of the noise, a lot of the
Right.
distraction. That's
yeah. Now, you were sharing that. Do you plan your day each day, or plan it the night before? How do you? What's your daily method of operation?
I tried my best to. All right. I would say a good percentage of my time is planned out there. And some days aren't as much planned. Some days are because there's some days where for me, what I do, besides real estate, I'm in logistics heavy. Doing Amazon deliveries too. I'm contracted with Amazon, right? And that is a position which is 7 days a week. Okay. Right. Like before we were here, I took a call from my manager, right? So a lot of times I just, some days where I use a day to just plug away from everything. I can't say plan as much, but let things happen, just be more in the present. But for the most part, I'll have a binder and I'll try to work on my plans. I'll have my long-term goals, my big plans, casting a wider net, and then trying to hone that down to what I'm going to be doing weekly, monthly, so on and so forth. Breaking it down,
Wow. Yeah. Now it's so beautiful to hear a young man talking like that, because those are some skills that many people don't learn. And, through the books, Think and Grow Rich, the 12 Universal Laws of Success, the Laws of Power, and I'm sure some of the other books, it becomes clear that there's a system, there's a platform. And if you follow those rules, you get desired results.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Now, real estate is an area that many young people are getting into. You put some time into that. What was it that drew you to real estate?
Okay, that's good. So it was around in 2014. I came across a guy. I don't follow him that much anymore, too, but he kind of sparked the plug. It was actually guy Jay Morrison. Give him his flowers and salute him on that, because what he did was, amongst the African American urban community, he brought the awareness to real estate. All right. And so I took his courses, whatnot, right? From there, I learned more and delved even more about real estate, watching a podcast called Bigger Pockets, and listening to like I said, once I get a passion for something, I'm pretty locked in on it. So I would listen day in, day out to that podcast, Bigger Pockets, and learn all the little, all of the nuts and bolts of real estate from there, right? And so what I first did, my first property, and it took me a while, to get into my first property, but I persevered, kept on pushing forward. And my first property that I got was, I did a house hack. I lived on one, which is basically live on one side and rent out the other side. It was a duplex. And so what that did was that opened up things for me financially, because now I'm not paying for one of the biggest expenses, which is, your shelter, right?
Right.
I was able to save a lot more money that way. After that, I started investing, because in Jersey, the tax is a little bit higher, right? So you had to make sure that you're playing smart. And I wanted to see more cash flow. So then after that, I started investing in Philadelphia here, which is because I'm about 15, 20 minutes away from Philly. So that's why I started investing in North Philadelphia. And so primarily I invest in Philly. I still invest in Jersey too, certain parts of Jersey, but I invest in Philly and Jersey for the most part. Start delving into that. After that, I started doing a couple flips, buying holds, because, your gentrification is going to happen, right? But gentrification is one of those things. Yeah.
Let me tell you, man. I used to own a property, my aunt down in Philly, 2944 Dolphin Street.
Okay. Yeah, North. Okay.
Yeah. And man, talk about urban renewal, gentrification. It came everywhere but up to my block. It's like we were right in the middle of it. And they came up to here, they came up to there, and my block just sat there. Eventually I sold it, but that's a very powerful piece, man. I look back on New York. I owned a lot of brownstones in Harlem.
Wow.
Because like the brownstone I used to live in is like, last I saw, it was like 2.3 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
So
but
that's
one of the things that we'd figured out in Harlem, you couldn't get a mortgage, and so even the black bank wasn't loaning you any money. You know,
black. I say you have the races. I remember that was big.
yeah,
Um, with the redlining and so on and so forth. But even so, they
yeah,
wouldn't even. So how could so see how we were pushed back from wealth even from back
yeah,
then.
yeah. Well, thank goodness I had, like you had your dad. I had my uncle. My
Mm-hmm.
uncle was a lawyer also, and he understood getting money. He represented guys like Wilt Chamberlain,
Solid,
uh,
solid, solid.
Della Reese, and what he plugged into was the private money market. That there's a lot of
Gotcha. Yeah,
private money around,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
pay more for it. You pay more for it,
Mm-hmm.
but as long as you keep your word and you
Mm-hmm.
don't overextend yourself. So we were able to use that private money market to buy how, I mean, we were buying brownstones for 25,000. I bought one of mine for 25. I sold it for 375. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so but
It's
now
probably
it's, yeah,
million.
and now it's worth 3 or 4 million.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's all about timing. But that's good. A young man, when now as you begin to build your real estate business,
Mm-hmm.
was there any particular obstacle there, blocking you from growing?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the places that I'm investing in, like I was before we were, as we're speaking on, I'm placing my bets on places that aren't yet quite fully gentrified. So like Dolphin Street,
Yeah.
I'm investing in Strawberry Mansion.
Uh-huh.
So that's right near Brewery Town. So if anybody knows Philadelphia real estate,
Uh-huh.
Brewery Town is a place that has been gentrified. Strawberry Mansion, not so much. It's coming, but it's
Yeah.
one of the places that's up and coming. And
Yeah.
we don't know when it's coming, right? So I'm investing in those areas there. So you got to deal with, once you, and what I do is I like to fix a property up from the bones, fix it up, make sure it's right. So you might deal with banks that don't give it the correct appraisal
Right.
because
Right.
of where it's at, right? Because it is a stone's throw away from Brewery Town too, but I'm building it up. I'm getting into it. So not only have to deal with banks, but then you have to deal with crime elements. Then you have to deal with contractors that ain't in alignment with what you got going on.
Right.
You pretty much know that you have a good contractor or a bad contractor can make or break you in this game.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
having to deal with setbacks financially, mentally, all different types of things too. I've dealt with all that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this whole thing of stick to itness, right? Of still persevering, still pushing, still just
Mm-hmm.
trying your best, and making it happen, just not taking no for an answer. That's
Yeah.
what it comes into that game, So that's what ultimately that helps build me and help me get into the next
Get
foray of
next
business.
bit. Yeah. Now you said when you said that persistence, that
Mm.
that right there, and with many of our young people, that's something I really, when I speak to young people, to try to stress that point that it's not easy. It's almost like you can Google something and get the answer in 2 seconds, or you
Mm-hmm.
could go to the library and spend a day and a half. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
each one has a different
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah, it does.
If you Google it and you don't get the answer, you go on to the next thing. But when you go to that library and you spend 2 days looking for something, you're going to read about a whole lot of other things. And so it's a much more expansive, experience. And I try to get our young people to see that, because that helps you with your persistence. The more you can see, the more you can want it, the more you can be. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you use that quite well. So that real estate was a strong piece. And right now it's still jumping, isn't it?
It is. It still is jumping. It's still jumping in the market now. For me as an investor, the deals are still there, but you have to be a little more creative. You got to put a little more legwork. It's not going to fall in your lap as if it was like 2011, 2012, 2013. Because we went on a nice ride. So you have to make sure that you are buying right. But you still have deals out there. You just got to make sure you're buying right on there too.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now,
And it all depends on market, right?
yeah,
Different market. I know where you're at is booming. The
yeah,
South is booming,
yeah.
so a
Oh
little
man,
different.
I watch property. Our property values have basically doubled to tripled in the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy. Now, yeah, oh yeah, and I'm sitting on everything. The stuff I sold, I wish I hadn't sold. You know,
Yeah, man. Start looking
yeah,
down that way.
yeah, yeah. But now you're into this transportation piece. How did you move from real estate to transportation to this delivery system?
Got you. Um, I was all right. So, while doing the real estate, I still was working. For me, it was easier to get loans and things like that when you got the W-2 income too, right? So I still was still doing entrepreneurial piece and still working. I was at the time I was working as a college advisor. I was teaching classes at college and then doing advising. And I was on Forbes, I believe it was Forbes or some website, a financial website.
Uh-huh.
And I read a headline saying Amazon is paying its Amazon Flex drivers to quit their jobs and start their own business. So I clicked on that and started reading into it, right? And a light bulb went on my head. I'm like, if they're paying them to do that, people that are coming that don't have the experience,
Uh-huh.
um, you know, basically, do they have a shot at it, right? Because basically they were, saying like no experience necessary, yeah, anything to kind of get people in it. So what Amazon was doing was they're breaking
Uh-huh.
away from the format of working with those bigger logistics companies,
Yeah.
and they want more of the people that were, mom and pop places and
Yeah.
people that small business owners and things like that too. If you brought the hustle, they bring the business. And because
Yeah.
Amazon is not a logistics company, it is
Yeah.
a disruptor. Amazon is a company that is got a wide array of things too, right? So they come from a different angle. They come from a I don't know what the word. I'll find a word, but they come from a whole different angle, just from out of
Yeah.
left field angle, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool because some of the greatest people in the world, some of our greatest innovators, whether business and sports or religion or whatever yours, people coming from left field. They're not just the cookie cutter way, right?
Yeah.
And so they were open to working with people that were entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll teach you the game and you bring the hustle. And so I actually applied for it, and I didn't take it serious at first. I
Uh-huh.
didn't take at first, but I actually applied for it, got interviewed. Of course, they check your how much money you're bringing in, credit, so on and so forth. Skip past that, but I actually, was awarded. I created my company and actually was awarded that contract, and I started, in 2020. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
so basically, let me back that up. So
Yeah.
I was working at 9 to 5, a secure job,
Yeah.
and I
Now,
said,
now, now, Randall, you hit something very powerful
yeah,
that when you're in this real estate arena,
mm-hmm.
W-2 income is much easier to document.
Sure,
Okay.
for
And
sure.
W-2 income. And so to our listeners, many people right now with the hot real estate market, you didn't just quit your job and go out and start doing deals. You realized that it was a whole package. And that's what you saw that, and I want to make sure our listeners get that you're doing your deals, but you kind of doing your deals around that job because that job provides the W-2 income, the documented income, and helps you give that prime credit rating that can then facilitate all your other stuff. So so I love the way you did that. And I want our folks to really pay attention to that. Don't get so
Yeah.
emotional that you like, oh man, I'm gonna quit my job and go,
Yeah.
flip
Yeah.
houses. Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to double down on that. Thank you for stopping on that. I want to
Uh-huh.
be clear. I want to be clear about something.
Uh-huh.
You're going to see, especially social media and what we live in America, entrepreneur society. It's going to be flashing in your face
Uh-huh.
as if it's bad to work a job, or if it's anything lesser than to work a job. Absolutely, positively not. There's so many people that I think they jumped off the porch too early, and working that job and learning the game. Period was a much better deal versus taking that. I took risks. Every risk I take calculated risks, right? So it was time for me to grow into this next position, right? But on working a job and then gaining real estate or starting that business up is a great thing too, having that cushion, right? But then you got to also know when there's fear and comfort versus when it's time to go. It's not everybody's time to go at the same time. You see, my race isn't your race. Your race isn't somebody else's race. So a lot of times we see things, we get blinded, and we think that our race is supposed to have been a certain way at a certain time. when it was my time to roll and getting that was when it was my time too. So I want to be very clear, this is how America runs. America runs on its workforce, right? So kudos for those who are out there sticking it out, making it work with the job. Me, I worked my job. I worked, several jobs until it was my time. And I knew to take that risk, and it was calculated. It wasn't a risk to me. Other people, my coworkers looking at me, I was crazy. And I know people, they don't. Other people looked at me like I was crazy, but they didn't tell me that too, because they know what type of person I am. They know I always move to the beat of my own drum, right? But so when I let people know, hey, I'm quitting this 9 to 5. I love working with y'all, but it's my time to follow my journey and step into my purpose and being aligned with my purpose. Time to get into that too, and it doesn't come. It's not smooth sailing. It doesn't come without challenges. I get challenged every single day, all the time. But I got that threshold. I know what I signed up for. This is what I'm made for. This is what I'm built for. This is what God has put in, and that's what brings me that satisfaction,
Yeah.
And
That's
you pretty much know being an entrepreneur, it ain't easy at all.
Well, I think the whole thing, that's why I'm loving you hearing it, because, if it's easy, everybody would be rich.
Sure.
It's like a diamond, Randall, a diamond chemically is the same as a piece of coal. When you look at the chemical, the hydrocarbon representation, but the difference between a coal and a piece of diamond is that the diamond has been subjected to intense pressure. And it is that pressure that turns the black coal into the clear, sparkling diamond. You see? And so in our lives, you become who you are with the clarity that you have because of the pressures that you've gone through. If you didn't have any challenges and pressures, there's no need to get better. Frederick Douglass said, where there's no struggle, there's no growth.
Absolutely, positively right. You say that again. Getting uncomfortable. Just being uncomfortable. That's that is a sign of growth.
Yeah.
Right. And that is it sits well with my soul. I've gotten used to the point of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In the way of growth too.
Yeah.
It's all said and done. I want to look back at life, and I want to be able to lament and look at this story, and I don't want to be older looking about things I woulda, coulda, shoulda did. There's a lot of things I still coulda did, but I'm satisfaction. I'm sad. I have satisfaction, knowing that, I'm going after certain things.
Yes. So now the Amazon business seems to be booming, and it's the right business at the right time, it seems, huh?
Yeah, it does too. Yeah. It's going well for me. It's doing good. I did it in 2020, which was a crazy time. That was, that's when the pandemic started. So that, America had shut down and everybody was online. So I started at the time too. So even that was a challenge. Kudos to my wife, kudos to my family, my cousin Tamara, my brother, just basically, helping me out through the way. We all just basically took that walk of faith, and the business was very difficult. It was strenuous because so much of a demand. So I'm starting this company up. I have a workforce of, at that time it's probably like 70, 80. I got all the way up to 90 employees and on deliveries during this time of the pandemic. But, basically you're trying to build a culture, and you're trying to, there's so many different things that, went left or going crazy, just dealing with that amount of people, dealing with company in the world, dealing with customer demand, all that happened all at one time, but I wouldn't trade that for the world. I thank God for that experience that helped build that pressure is a pressure that most people will fold under. But that pressure helped me out so much. That pressure, like I said, pressure can bust pipes, but pressure also makes moves. Pressure also makes pressure also does a lot of different things too. And that pressure just catapult me. A lot of sleepless days and things like that too. But that helped build me up, help build my business up, help build my business acumen up, help build my confidence up. Taught me a lot of life lessons during that time. Working with, the biggest company, Amazon. Crucial time on the front lines where everybody is not 6 feet. So, having, all different types of obstacles of, doing deliveries, logistics, so on and so forth. Oh man, but it was wild times, but good
Yeah.
times.
Well, you just said a nice point. They said life lessons. If you look back, let's phrase this question. If you look back right now where you are and go back to, let's say when you were coming out of high school, getting ready to go into college and whatnot, what advice would you give your younger self based on where you are right now?
Take more risk.
Okay.
Time is now, as I get older, I started understanding that time is your biggest asset, excuse me. Time is fleeting. Time is fleeting, right? Time changes. The one thing that's guaranteed in life that's always going to happen is change. And with change, time comes change, change comes time. So just taking more risk, being more calculated. When I was younger, I was more focused on, I wasn't as focused on the grind. I was focused on whether it be girls or whether it be sports, different things that come on being a young man, right? Then once I started shifting my mind, I started working with different things as far as self-development. I got even sharper with it,
Yeah. So take risks. That's powerful. Calculated risk.
Calculated risk. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
On time, staying focused and mindset, my mind is different. Like I think working on more of a positive mindset. I didn't realize how powerful the brain is in shaping things. Like a lot of times we understand that you had that self-doubt, especially when you're younger and you're comparing yourself to, in high school and so on and so forth, comparing your race to everybody else's race, right?
Yeah.
God put forth for me was a whole different game, a whole different set of rules, a whole different race, and in alignment with myself. Starting that and not getting in, not getting into all the other stuff that basically has no real purpose.
Right.
It's not going to be there long term. It's not a part of a foundation of anything. It's kind
That's
of being.
Good. That's great advice. That's great advice. Now, if so, where do you see your company going now? When you look down the line, 5-10 years, where do you see your company going? And you and your whole life.
See that. Amazon is great. Amazon has opened up doors. I see myself expanding beyond just doing Amazon. It's investing in multiple companies. I'm actively looking right now. Even to the logistics industry. I want to do a little bit more commercial development. So I'm still doing real estate. Real estate is always foundations. It's a key.
Right.
You pretty much know some of the wealthy people that you studied or wealthy people that you deal with. Real estate, they do this plus real estate. Some people are just fully in real estate, but real estate is somewhere in the equation.
Yes.
Right. I just want to keep building up my portfolio within real estate more, bigger deals. I'm very still much hands-on in my side of things too. So eventually I'm developing. I have some pretty good people on my team, developing them to kind of run things as I'm, delving into more industries, building up more streams of income, doing it that way.
Yeah. Now you've said a few times about how important is it to have a good team? Because I think many businesses fail because they don't have that team.
Ultra important. I do not do it by myself. I cannot do it myself, and I will not do it by myself. And I'm starting to realize that more and more, as in this business game. I don't know anybody that's ultra successful or even minimally successful that can stand to take a hit if something happens to them. What happened to the company? If it's a one-man show,
right?
It's for long.
That's it.
Now I'm at that age now where I'm looking at building more of legacy.
Yeah. Now you look about 16, if you don't mind. How old are you now?
37.
37.
37.
I tell you, you got your feet on the ground. At 37, I was still trying to find the bathroom.
At 37, I realized that right, it's a middle life. Life. I'm in my late 30s, on the 40s. So Right now, I'm focused more at this stage in my life. I'm focused on more on what do I want to be remembered for, right?
Okay.
Foundation I don't have. I want to be more on legacy. I got family to support, help them push them towards their goals and dreams, and and even friends or even some of my. It makes no, I won't be any more satisfied until I get people that work under my company start building up they go to
Definitely.
entrepreneur route. I'm building up. I
Yeah.
might even partner with them or
Yeah.
learn everything they need to learn from sharpening their teeth with me, helping them grow and jumping into their path.
Yeah. Well, you are very successful. What's your key? What do you look for in building a team? Because a lot of times people, it's like a ship. You have a crew on the ship, and you bring the wrong people on that ship, man. They'll be rowing in opposite directions. You'll be going in circles. What's your
Mm.
process for building your team? What do you look for in a person?
Look for good judge of character.
Okay.
Good judge of character. Where the characteristics? How do they deal with pressure? Because you're going to, it's not if, but when you're going to deal with trying circumstances, trying times, you're going to deal with some pressure, some sorts. Can they handle the pressure? I look for loyalty, right? You have to have a loyalty, person that has goals, that has visions, and also somebody that I don't need a yes man. You don't want to be around yes man. You want people that challenge your thoughts about building. It's about building. And so that's what I like to look for, those key attributes.
Okay, beautiful. So we've talked a good bit about your businesses and whatnot. When you look back, so at 37, what has been your greatest accomplishment, your greatest victory to date?
Hmm. It's a good question. It's a good question. I think my book is still being written. So for me, looking back retrospect wise, right? Because I'm one of the type people that I don't count the scoreboard yet. I don't count the
Okay.
score. Still playing the game.
Uh-huh.
Um, just I could talk about different things, whether it be marriage, whether it be starting a business,
Yeah.
kind of, because before I jumped into this, I was pretty good. I wasn't even the best student academically, I said I didn't talk about it before, but I wasn't even the best student academically. Anybody that calls me like Randall Cates got his master's. Anybody know, like I wasn't a big academic, but I kept on pushing. And them getting the masters that way. But that was my past life doing the work thing. So I think that jumping in, just knee deep into entrepreneurship. That's something to be said, right? But I'm still writing that book. So if you want to, you can put that as my biggest accomplishment. But I'm still writing the book.
Yeah, I like
Right.
that. The book is still being written. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And so I think that
Yeah.
one of my goals to be one of my biggest accomplishments is working with somebody and raising somebody up under me that goes just as far as I am and is ultra successful. That's going to bring me more satisfaction.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now you touched on it a minute, as an entrepreneur, man, your spouse is critical.
For
And
sure.
so it seems like you have a very supportive wife. And how's that been working? Good.
It's doing great. It's doing great.
Uh-huh.
Been married a couple years
Uh-huh.
now. Supportive. Where there was times where she was the one that really holding the fort down with the company, where I was still trying to find foot in that crazy 2020, and she was really, just basically breathing life into me, encouraging me, and when times got tough, she was basically supporting me. That's how I knew, she was the one for me, right? When chips are down, and when you are facing adversity, when you're facing pressure with people that are there for you,
Yeah.
they show themselves. So my brother, my cousin, wife, my mom, my dad, just like her certain friends that supported me. Those are the people that really showed, and I'm going to war with them. Go to war for them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Absolutely right. I don't have kids yet, so I think that's going to be one of my greatest accomplishments once I do have kids.
Yeah. Well, you're building a nice legacy for them to come into. So that's an excellent agenda, my friend. Well,
Absolutely.
Randy, we've had some great conversations today. I hope you've enjoyed. I've enjoyed this.
Definitely enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed it. It's always definitely.
So now, any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Um, just I just think, just keep on working on yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Try to get in alignment. Go after your path. My race is not your race. Your race is not my race. Don't get too down on yourself. Don't get blinded by all the hooplas out here, whether it be on social media and things like that. I'm a person even on social media. I rarely really post really. I'm not really social media never made me. you know, I do a lot of things that are post worthy, right? And sometimes I don't even post because I'm trying to stay more grounded. And I've been doing that pretty good. This is what works for me, right? Some people get the adrenaline build up from it, and I live for social media, right? But I don't live for likes. I don't live for likes.
Okay.
I live for God first off, but I live for a different purpose. And purpose, that social media couldn't really bring me, and money
Right.
can't buy it. So.
Well, I tell you just my feeling, but I think you live for impact. You impact your family, impact the people that work for you. And as you were saying, you'll look at success when you can take some of your employees or associates and become partners and work bigger and bigger deals. So that's a great thought, brother.
So writing that book,
Yes.
so
Yeah. All right. Randy, you were sharing that your dad was a boxer, and my dad was a boxer too, and he left the South and went up north. As a matter of fact, he lived in Philadelphia for a while, and it said he fought Ezra Charles and some of those old time guys. But it was funny. He was a boxer who he could beat anybody in the gym, but if you put him in a ring in a money fight, it wasn't happening. I don't know what it was, but he was a great sparring partner and he worked in the gym. In those days, a lot of the gyms were connected to a pool hall. So we're talking like the 1930s. Okay. So
yeah.
a whole different ballgame. So your dad was a boxer. Tell me a little about that.
All right, yeah. So my dad, similar story. My dad, when he was a lot younger, he came up here. My dad, he was born down in Savannah, Georgia. My grandma, grandpa, all them, migrated from the South, moved up north for such a better life at the time, right? And so my dad, he actually turned pro when he was 16 years of age, and so he was young, so he had to lie on his credentials in order to get that, and he's fighting grown men here and laying them out, and I mean, he retired at 30. He fought at a high level, like very familiar with Floyd Mayweather Senior. They would fight on his undercards, different people like the Spinks and all that, Ali, Frazier, all that. So he fought at a very high level. In fact, you'll see different fights of his fights on ESPN. Has classic fights that still show right now. He had a classic fight on South Africa. But what
now what was his fighting name? What was his fighting name?
Richie Dynamite Cates. He was I think like 46. 46 wins, 6 losses, maybe, and several knockouts. But my dad, he retired early. He retired at 30.
Okay, Dynamite Cates.
Dynamite Cates.
Okay.
But he's my biggest inspiration in going into business. One thing that I never forget is his work ethic. First off, that speaks for itself. It's more than just a boxer. It's his life after boxer, as far as being a deacon in church, but he committed to civil service. He ran the boxing gym, the PAL gym, non-paid, doing things for free. He working with the youth and working with the community. I'll never forget. He always would tell me that I was going to make it. He always would tell me, hey, Randy, one day you're gonna be a millionaire, things like that. He would be all different types of things, just tell him, breathe life into me.
Yeah.
But when we talked about the works, and his life works spoke more than he was. Man, he wasn't a big talker. If you knew his family, he'd talk, but he wasn't a big talker. But it was his life works that really, really showed who he was, the character. And I picked up on a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
You know, he left a great impression on me. Just picked up on just his hard work, his ethics, really just kind of going after, believing yourself, going after whatever we're in life. And that's what really stuck with me. It wasn't just his boxing, really. It was he was a bigger person to me, and his life works. And, you know, invested in me, you know,
Yeah.
and that investment, you know, paying off, you know, so that's my biggest inspiration, you know. You know, he see, you know, me just, you know, kind of just be successful in life, you know.
Well, you know, a lot of times I guarantee that there was a lot you learned from him just watching him as opposed to listening to him and seeing stuff and hearing. But that idea of him living a life of example, I think that might be what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. My mother too. Mother, very inspirational. She worked neck and neck. They worked in conjunction. My mother, she's very inspirational too. How she operates, and but both of them. But that's definitely great influence on me. Just getting those key principles from him, just keep on pushing forward, perseverance, and, you know, just moving on your own, using your own mind. You know,
Beautiful.
using your own mind, my own. So.
Well, that's a great asset. That's a great asset, and he's doing okay now. So you're taking good care of him.
Yeah, stuff. Right. Appreciate that. You know,
yes. So all right. Well, I tell you, Randall, I have enjoyed this. I sure appreciate you. Likewise. I think you've laid some nuggets. And I think, you know, at 37, I think you're going to be an inspiration, man, because there are a lot of young men that maybe didn't have the support in the family, maybe didn't have the support among their friends. And when they can see, you know, when you didn't have it, they can say, don't get hung up on that, but you can begin to create it by seeking out people who can be congruent with your thinking, by people who want to see you grow. I love working for you. If I were an employee, I'm like, man, I'd like to have a boss like you, because somebody who wants to see me grow, you know? Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Right. I didn't. And one thing I'll talk about, although I come from a great family, I don't come from a rich family.
Okay.
I don't, you know, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. I grew up, you know, blue collar, putting forth that work. And so really, I'm really self-made, to be honest with you. And I got to honestly say that I didn't get any handouts of money from anybody.
Yeah.
And if I could do it, you absolutely 110%. Sounds cliche, but you absolutely 110% can do it.
Beautiful. All right. All right. Thank you, Randy. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another edition of Success Talk. And one of the things that has really impressed me, and I think that when you listen to this time and time again, is to hear the voice of a young man who's now gone through the education process, learn how to use and make it work for him, gone into the entrepreneurial process, learn how to use and make it work for him. But I think one of the key takeaways is to understand you're building layer upon layer. So if you have a good education, it can help you get a good job. If you have a good job, it can be a platform to become an entrepreneur. And each thing builds on the other. So thank you so much, Randy, for sharing that with us. Thank you, our listeners, that when you remember this, number one, be sure to go and visit our website, herbertharris.com, for all the goodies that we have for you. Randy, do you have a website you'd like to share?
If people want to apply, like, I'm still always going to build my team actively. So if you're in the tri-state area of Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, or even New York for that matter, if you want to travel some, you can go on www.roadrunnerdeliver. You know, not without the Y, so it's roadrunnerdeliver.com. And then, you know, you can go apply. You can join the team.
Beautiful.
And I'm very accessible. You can find me out and about different places, and so I'm easily approachable. So give me a holler if you see me.
All right. Thank you so much, Randy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. And remember this, that you can be anything you want to be, do anything you want to do, and have anything you desire, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is.